Testing, 1, 2, everyone hears me great. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Brett Cohen, your host with the most, and welcome to another exciting edition of Waze Communities Office Hours. Now, before we dive into our very exciting show tonight, where we're going to give you the finale of our Communities Hackathon and do a deep dive into the tile builder, I've got a couple of announcements. So let us kick that off, shall we? Now, our first announcement for this episode today is that we have meetups coming up in July. This month we have 4 meetups. There's 2 in Brazil, July 9th and July 16th, and then the UK and Ireland local meetup as well on July 16th. And very exciting, the beta community is having a virtual global meetup that you can still sign up for. In fact, I think we're actually going to be putting up the registration later this week. So you heard it here first, people. July 28th, we're having our virtual beta global meetup. So be there or be square. Now, we have some other exciting events going on at Waze. I'm extremely excited to announce that Waze has signed a 3-year event partnership with the Tour de France as a global events partner and an official traffic manager, which is giving us an amazing opportunity to drive our brand love and engage users by optimizing traffic before, during, and after the competition. Now, Tour de France is one of the most famous sporting events in the world. And this year, top cyclists will be competing in a 21-stage race across Denmark, Belgium, Switzerland, and of course, France. So 60,000 VIPs are going to be attending the tour, and 10 million spectators will cheer it along the way around the world. Waze will be integrating deep links into the official Tour de France channels, which we have an example here on the screen, and through a direct call to action with Drive with Waze on several different channels. So our virtual peloton of 25 volunteer map editors is working extremely closely with the Waze team to improve all fans' experiences by updating the map in real time and at every stage of the tour. So we'd all just like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to all of our Tour de France volunteers. And we hope that you're all out there going to be enjoying watching the show and enjoying the Tour de France. Now, with that, it is my absolute pleasure to bring out our first guest, Anat, who's going to finale the hackathon.
Thank you, Brett. But as always, such a hard act to follow, but I'll do my best. Hi, everyone. Anat here. First of all, a quick thank you from me as well for joining us today. Second, a huge shout out to everyone who participated in the hackathon. We know many of you signed up but couldn't make it since the hackathon was on a weekday. Don't worry, this is feedback we are taking into consideration. We're hearing you very clearly on this one. If we run another hackathon in the future, we'll do our best to have at least a part of it on the weekend. You know it's tricky to find a time that works well both for the community and staff members. Anyway, let's take this time today to share hackathon updates with everyone, celebrate our community participants, and watch our winners present their ideas. Here's a special request to our dear hackathon participants watching right now. Help us keep the suspense. We're going to announce the 3 winning teams later. Help us keep it a secret so everyone can have fun. Let's start with some numbers around the hackathon. More than 120 community members signed up to participate in the hackathon. Around 60 staff members signed up. Around 50 ideas were submitted, both by community and staff members. 11 ideas were chosen, and eventually 9 amazing teams of community and staff members participated in our 2 intense days of sessions and the presentations event. So the next few slides show screenshots of fun moments we had during the hackathon. This is a shot from the second day's opening session. Look at those smiling faces. This is the photo challenge Team Radars posted in their Jamboard. Here's Team Major Change in Speed Limit. Here's the photo challenge Team Passes posted. And here's Team Wazer's Profiles, which was merged with the Team Passes we just saw in the previous slide. And now we have a quick video which highlights all the team's presentations for when we presented the ideas to the judges on June 23rd. Let's play it. I want to touch the full screen.
A lot of really good ideas. If you had to pick one for us to do first out of everything, which one would it be?
So, what's the challenge right now?
You can see by all the happy Wazers that our idea will correct all those issues.
We hope you're as excited as we are to reach the top of the mountain.
It was so great to see all the efforts around the hackathon.
Only the first place will move forward. What about the quick hackathon dance, shall we?
You're going to have to keep up with me here, okay? So EVs, they will be, the future of vehicles.
Good, Akasha? Yeah, improving my favorite too. We don't need always the same set of preferences that Waze gives us.
Our idea is being able to handle no-through traffic and restricted access to gated communities.
The challenge. So what is the challenge?
So the challenge is really to make sure that we route the user to the best routing possible.
So it takes a minimum of 3 interactions of the 7.4 to the favorite. In the past, there it is inconsistent.
Our idea was to identify upcoming major changes in the speed limit. There's an estimated 11 million households in gated communities in the United States alone.
We feel that we are missing a huge opportunity, so we want to present you with real-time closures on turn.
You show a simple but great solution to improve current issues with radars that affect users around the world.
So why are we proposing any change? We see the search as the gateway to every navigation application, including Waze.
As a first step, we suggest renaming safe places to my places, a simple change that makes the list seem more personal and less sterile.
So we want to build with this proposal like a friendly ecosystem in the app, and we'll open up more opportunities for Waze and partnership.
Create a unique feature to Waze, which allows us to be the leader in navigation apps and give more reasons to choose Waze over other apps.
This is the day of your global team. Please help us to die safer for razors. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
That was awesome. I can't believe you did it in 3 minutes.
That was amazing. You're all winners for us. You know that, right? We love you. We had a great time. We hope you did as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Is ready? No, present mode. Excuse me just a second. I need my presenting notes. Okay, now isn't that a fun video? We made it to make sure that all teams are highlighted, whether they created a fun Jamboard or not, whether they were on the list of 3 winning teams or not. It doesn't really matter. This hackathon was all about having fun together. It's true, the idea that won first place will move forward to be added to the Waze roadmap. But before that, we wanted to create this opportunity for a fun collaboration between community and staff. And I have to say, we already got a lot of feedback saying how great it was to be able to hear the other side. Staff members who don't usually get to go on community meetups really valued this opportunity to finally collaborate with you, our dear community. And you, community members, told us how valuable this time was for you, having direct access to Waze staff. So now, without further ado, we don't want to keep you waiting too long. Let's share the winner announcements. The amazing team that came in third is Team Closure Minded. John, will you do the honors of presenting for your team?
Thank you. Hello, my name is John Morris, Global Champ out of the U.S., and I'd like to introduce you to Team Closure Minded. Next slide. Today, as an editor, when I log into WME, I come across different map issues, and among them are reports of construction work, or I am working on closures with an event partner such as NASCAR F1 that we need to add to WME. Next slide. We also constantly get reports of turn not allowed, which could possibly be resolved with closures on turns. Next. We have no way of properly representing a closure on any given turn. Using a turn-based restriction is not an option due to the tile build constraint. We don't want to add a closure to an entire segment to prevent traffic on a street, as we would not be representing reality and probably negatively affecting traffic. Waze users are incorrectly routed through a left turn, creating a very bad user experience. Next. We feel that we are missing a huge opportunity, so we want to present to you real-time closures on turns. By adding a closure on a turn, you'll be correctly affecting routing, which is the core of Waze, providing a top-notch user experience for both editors and the app users, and better able to meet our partner fee needs, such as the Tour de France. Next. Our estimate is that it will take about a quarter to complete the effort since the infrastructure on the client, closure server, real-time server, and routing server can already potentially support a closure on a turn. The primary work will be just adding the ability to close the turn in WME, making it a very feasible to move forward with this feature. Next. These are a couple of mock-ups that Ruslan created during our meetings on that how it could look like in WME. Next. We think this would be used regularly in large cities worldwide. This would allow Waze to continue to be the leader in navigation apps by providing proper routes when turns are closed. Since we would be the only navigation app with such capabilities, we have the potential to create a lot of positive PR, creating more reason to choose Waze over other apps. Next. Thanks for selecting us as a finalist, and we do look forward to the implementation of this feature in the future.
Thank you very much, John. And thanks, Team Closure Minded. This is John's third time presenting this idea. You probably know it by heart by now.
Getting there.
Okay, so now I'd like to say a few words about this idea. Closure Minded got a very high score from all the judges since they realized how important this is, which is an amazing achievement on its own. These are the decision makers for Waze, and they all acknowledge the importance of this idea. The impact it can have on map editing and routing would really make a real difference. Team Closure Minded made it to the third place thanks to the elegant solution you proposed. But the second and first places got better scores when it came to originality and impact. Team Closure Minded, you're amazing. Congratulations. So now, moving on to the second place. Who came in second? Team Waze EV. And presenting for Team EV today, we have our dear Juan. Juan, take it away.
Hi, good day, everybody. I'd like to introduce you to Team EV. And I wanted to thank you to my team again. Team EV is an alternative fuel type and a destination for the next generation of vehicles. While today may make a small percentage of the market, by 2030, EVs are expected to make nearly 35% of all new vehicle sales in the United States. We want to position Waze as the leader, not only as the best navigation app to use EV routing, but also the comprehensive one-stop solution for all aspects of owning an electric vehicle. We also believe that many of the necessary innovations that will become with EV support will benefit other fuel types, vehicles, and improve the Waze experience for all drivers. Next, please. Our users expect a lot from Waze, but to get started, we'll need to update the app to be optimized to the type of vehicle the driver is using. Thus, we're proposing a new feature, vehicle profiles, that can store all of the information Waze needs in a different vehicle drivers use in the road. Next, please. Vehicles profiles won't just relevant to EVs, but to all different vehicle types supported by Waze. This will be hugely beneficial to users who own multiple vehicles so that their Waze experience matches best to the vehicle they're using. This will include more robust vehicle selection, fuel types, and license plates and passes all in one screen, allowing users to store multiple vehicles in their account and for Waze to fully support the best and most relevant routing for each type of vehicle. We believe that this revolutionary way the users interact with Waze and also lead to less frustration on the road, as their Waze experience will optimize for the vehicle they're in, without the need to redo the settings at the beginning of each trip, saving time and effort during daily commutes. Next, please. For routing, we imagine Waze algorithm be smart enough to track the vehicle's charge and let drivers know along the route they will need to stop to recharge. It also accounts for the road conditions that affect battery life and update charging suggestions accordingly. Example, elevations, inclines, temperature, and a personal profile like ETA provide energy use data based on previous drives and create estimates for future trips. Routing should also include support for HOV and also surface other benefits for EV drivers like free parking. And finally, we know that it's a long shot that we need to see in full car integration where the vehicle itself can report to Waze the vehicle's charge status to accurately estimate when the charge along the route. Next, please. And
We don't have a
finally, last measure, and we need to cover is charging. Charging is one of the most complex yet significant that we can impact users. First, we will need to fully map all charging stations, including the variety of what charge and plug types are available, and more advanced. Things like real-time availability and price surfaces for UGC and partners, the ability to make reservations, and of course, surfacing local attractions while you wait. Waze needs to fully integrate with the new third-party platforms, which is currently providing real-time data to the ability to reserve charging stations. We like to see this partnership to take on two-way integration where we can surface their data in Waze, have Waze the preferred navigator for their apps. We could even create a special Waze mode for EV and allow partners to display in their websites. And finally, we have an idea for our brand, the new social feature of our Waze called Charging Pool. Essentially, will communicate functions to borrow someone's charger and pay for the voltage.
Okay,
Next one,
thank you,
please.
Juan. That's it for the 3 minutes, but thank you very much. That was a great presentation, and your team did wonderfully. So thank you very much, and congratulations, Team Evie. So how did Team Evie earn its place on the podium? We really love this idea. Team Evie captured a lot of the mapping needs for electrical vehicles, which, as you know, is a focus for Waze moving forward. Choosing to focus on vehicle profiles as a starting point is a good call. This is the time to mention that there was another team in the hackathon which was dedicated entirely to Wazer's profiles. They were a close fourth place. They almost made it to the podium. Team EV's edge over Wazer profiles was to focus on EV. So, wonderful effort, Team EV. And now, moving on to first place. So, who made it to number one? And here we are. It's time to announce the first place. Are you excited? Here it comes. In the first place, we have major change in speed limit. Woohoo! Francesco will be presenting for the team today. Francesco, take it away.
Hello everyone, my name is Francesco and I am an Italian global champ. In name of my team, I would like to present you our idea, major change in speed limit. Next slide, please. The problem nowadays is that on Waze, drivers only get alerted when they exceed the current speed limit. Our idea is to allow Waze alerting drivers about a coming major speed limit drops. Next slide, please. A rapid decrease in speed limit can be dangerous for a number of reasons. For example, it can cause accident, it can cause damages to the vehicle, can result in a traffic ticket, and can cause a loose object to fall down. And moreover, it wastes gas. Next slide, please. So the opportunity here is to allow Waze to improve driving safety by decreasing the accident risks, by reducing the risk of getting fined, improving the comfort of the drive by allowing a smoother drive with less hard brakes, and keeping loose objects on their places inside the car. And of course, this is eco-friendly because it saves fuel and therefore money. Next slide, please. We propose a solution with two options for the graphical part. The first one would be a on-map solution, which consists in showing the speed limit signs directly on the map, or a speedometer solution, as we can see here on the animation, with a speed limit dropping on the speedometer. And both options will have a configurable audio alert that will tell drivers when the speed limit is about to drop. Next slide, please. Why is this feature important? Because it was requested by over 50 beta users and over 300 Waze users in the past. This would improve the quality of speed limit because the drivers and the Waze editors can see what's the exact value and the exact location of the speed limit on the map. And for the success metrics, we can measure how many users have this feature enabled, and if they actually slow down because of that. And we can use control groups to check how much this feature is effective. Next slide, please. What do we need to realize this? For the on-map solution, we will need to show speed limits on the map and to showing what's the next value. And for the speedometer solution, we have to compute like the lowest speed limit ahead. And for both of them, we will have a smart audio indication and a setting page in order for the user to define what is a major speed limit to him. Next slide, please. That was all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesco, and thanks team. Well, I'll start over. Thank you, Francesco, and thanks team Major change in speed limit. The judges chose this idea as number one since it can help drivers stay safe on roads where the speed limit drops instantly. Also, it's simple, elegant, and quite unique. Congratulations, team Major's change in speed limit. So what happens next with the winning idea? I guess that's the burning question for us all. Now, our internal teams will look into the best way to incorporate this helpful feature into the app. It may take a while, but we aim to deliver this idea to production. We'll keep you posted through all our standard channels, so stay tuned. Once again, and I guess this is one last time, thanks to everyone who participated and contributed to the hackathon. We had a really great time, and we hope you did too. And now I'll hand over the mic back to Brett. Bye.
Thank you so much, Anati. I just want to thank you on behalf of all of the Waze community and all the Waze staff for running such an awesome hackathon for the first time ever. Community and staff together, hand in hand, all because of this amazing woman. So let's all hear it for Anat again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll see you soon. Thanks
Bye.
for joining us. And again, just thank you to everyone who participated in the hackathon. Obviously, congratulations to our winners. You all did amazing. Now, I'm going to prep us for our next segment, so just bear with me for one moment. Our next guest is Ohad, who is on the Tile Builds team, and I'm pulling up his presentation, and here we go. So adding to stream, and my next guest, Ohad. Take it away.
Hi, Brett. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and be in the community office hours. And today I'm going to talk about the, the tile build, how it works, a little bit behind the scenes. I will be very happy to answer on your questions. So let me know. In the end, we'll have some time for Q&A. And I'll just start with introducing myself.
Go up here, and you gotta click on there for it to work, or actually open this guy up on the side, the small window there. There you go. That'll be for the best.
And now I click this.
The next, yeah.
Okay, so as I mentioned, my name is Ohad. I work at Waze for more than 2 years, 2.5 years. I'm part of the tech org, and in the map squad, we have few teams for the map. One of them is called Atlas. And inside that team, there's like a sub-team which is called Tyler. I'm the tech lead for Tyler. And this is below my Twitter if you want to talk with me directly. but you can also talk via the community. I have 3 kids. You can see them here. And that's it. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about tiles. And we'll start with how tiles look like, and then we'll talk about the tile build itself, how the build process works, how the build status, the new build status that we implemented is working, and we'll talk about the tile release and the SLO involved in that. Okay, so first of all, what are tiles? When you open the map and you open your phone, you open the mobile app, and the tiles are the pieces that are actually the map. It's like a jigsaw puzzle or something like this. It is images of, let's say, 1 kilometer on 1 kilometer, which is part of the map. It's like a caching of the map on a specific point of time, and it is a box with all the features of the map in that box. So when we have it on our databases in the backend, we keep the map like in table of segments or streets or connections of all the world. And the tiles are like a cache of a small area, like 1 kilometer over 1 kilometer, that you can see for that specific location, all the data from all the tables. And it's also a point in time. So when we start a tile build, we have a specific data that's now on the tile build. And when it will reach the drivers, it will be from that point in time of when the build started. So edits that were made in the WME later will not get into the tiles that the driver will see, only on the next tile build. When we're talking about tiles generally, we have 2 types of tiles. One called raster, which is like a continuous information. It's like when you have a screen, every pixel on your TV screen has a color, so it has information for every point in this 2-dimensional space. A PNG image is another example. So this is the first type, the raster tiles. The second type is the vector tiles, which keeps metadata, like arrays or vectors of data. For example, they can keep street names or coordinates or stuff like that. And I'll talk about it later, but we have both kind of tiles. And in the vector tiles, we mostly keep proprietary format for data structures. So as I mentioned before, we have two types, but we have 4 kind of tiles with different data in Waze. And that's like roughly, we have like few more types that are not as significant. The first one is the geocoding, which keeps the geographic information. We keep the segments, the streets, the roads, and all the data that you can see, the nodes, data that you can see for the map itself. That's the first type. The second one is the routing. Routing keeps information about the road that is used for navigation. So the main example is the cross time, how much time it takes to cross the segment. But it's not the real-time information, but like an historic calculation for the tile. The third one is the client tiles, which is the vector tiles data, and that is used to paint the tile on the mobile app. The data here is compressed and used by the mobile client, and some of it is similar to geocoding, and we have some extra data. And the last one is called the mapnik tiles, and the mapnik is used to render the tiles in the live map, and it's images actually. This is the only type of tile which is raster tile. One of the big problems that we have is how to index the tiles, how to decide each coordinate in the world, where it is and in which tile it is, and like do the transformation from the ID to location and from location to ID. And there are many ways that we can do it. Mainly what we're using is what used in Waze historically. It's very difficult to change it, but I just wanted to that you'll know that there is like a standard way of the OpenStreetMap. We use it for Mapnik, sort of. And for all other tiles, we have like specific ways, a way to encode the tile ID. Usually it will be for like an int ID for the left bottom corner, and we'll do some bit manipulation to decide to understand from the ID that left bottom corner, but it's less important exactly how it's done. But this is the main idea. And as I mentioned, mostly the tiles are like 1 kilometer on 1 kilometer. But for client tiles, we also have zoom levels. So that's also encoded inside the tile ID. And that's like pretty big part of our job, is to understand the tile ID from the coordinate of changes. So the tile ID, the tile build itself is a process that builds every day. It runs every day and build all those four kind of tiles. And basically, we take the data from our database, from what we call the LiveDB, and we write the data into tiles from rational tables into tiles of 1 kilometer per 1 kilometer. It's in Cassandra or in the Google Cloud Storage today. And I'm not sure how many all of you know. I'm sure some of you know it, but the process was very legacy, one of the biggest legacy in Waze, and we in the team work like for almost 2 years now to rewrite it from scratch and write a new process for the orchestration mostly. And I'll explain a little bit later about that. But mainly we want to replace all the process to something new. The process, sorry, the process was very fragile and was breaking a lot, and we try to make it like robust and faster. So our goal is to make it like a faster and reliable build process for both the tile build and the release. And like I mentioned here, it's almost 2 years. And we work in the team, we have 4 persons, Shirel, Anton, Yaki, and myself. I'm the tech lead for the project. And that's it. For the rewrite, we had like, it's as ancient as you can imagine. Some part of it were scripts that didn't even have source control, and we had to add that. And we had to move to newer infrastructure in many areas. So the tech stack that we are working to move to is Postgres, Google Cloud Storage, Airflow, Google PubSub, and also Java microservices infrastructure. And in our team, we had to implement many of the algorithms, mainly around the tile ID generation. They were like not tested in some cases, and like legacy, and we had to sometimes like in different languages, and we have to rewrite them in Java. And the last part that we just completed now is a new validation mechanism. The old we had like an old simulator that was using the Waze infrastructure. We had like a mini Waze, and with all the services, the routing, the navigation. But the problem was that it was very old, and we had to rewrite it. It was very difficult to upgrade it. People didn't knew exactly how it works. and we wrote like a new mechanism that looks at the tiles not like as a black box of Waze navigation, try to do navigations and check if they fail. Now the new validation reads the tile and make sure they are consistent with the format we expect. So it's a different mechanism that we worked for like in the last couple of months. Okay, so the tile build itself, what's the process, how it works? That's like that slide talk about it like it's high level, but it has the important parts that I want to discuss. So first, that we have in the beginning we have some kind of initialization. Then we do a clone of the DB. And the clone takes like 10 minutes or something like this. And once we finish with the clone, the tile version or the last change was determined. And you can see in the tile build status in the beginning that we have this orange part that we say, now we are not sure what changes will get in or not get in, so don't do like partial edits. So this is the part that we are doing the clone of the database. It's transactional, so any transaction will either get in or not get in. But if you store roads that are broken or something like this, it might like the transaction will get in, but the data will be corrupted. So that's why we are marking that part like beware with the edit that you're doing in that step. And that's like about the first 10 minutes of the tile build. Then we have the tile ID generation. That part is responsible to take all the changes that were done since the last build and they calculate which tiles we have to build again, which tiles have new changes and are scheduled to build in that build. The next part is the tile build. Actually, our team is responsible, first of all, for the orchestration itself, which is this process. But during the step of the tile build, we delegate using queues and the work to a lot of builders. We parallelize it for the routing builders, the client builders, the client tile builders, the geocoding tile builders. And we have many machines that does this. And the specific builders themselves are in responsibility of other teams. For example, the routing tile builders, we are not responsible for them, not the tiler team, but the nav team is responsible to write the builder. We tell them, okay, now you will build this tile, send like a message, and then they will build, and the builder will build that tile and store it in the storage for the new version. So when the tile build step finishes, the next step is the tile validation, which I mentioned before, and validate that all the tiles are correct. We do some kinds of validation to make sure that we build what we expected and that the format is okay and the files are in place before we release them. Then we have a step that waits. In that step, we wait for a specific time window that was decided that is safe to release. The rules are pretty much to do releases during the night. So it's in NA and in IL, it's pretty obvious when the night is. In a row, it's a little bit more problematic. There's no such thing as a night for the rest of the world. So there is a time window that decided based on the traffic, on like the global traffic, but it's not as good as for all the continent. Some are affected more, some are affected less. And also, from our team perspective, we want to have more than one tile build a day. If it's possible to have two tile build a day, or three, or infinite, but we have a few constraints. First of all, of course, the build time, but also the release window. So I guess some of you know from probably the Israel community that we changed the build in Israel for 2 times a day. And it works like this for, I think, more than a year now, if I remember correctly. Something like this. So we wait for the time that we can start the release. And then we start the release. The release process is also responsibility of another team, and not the orchestration of the build team. Basically, what it does is that it's starting new servers, geocoding servers and routing servers with the new version of the tile. And it's important to understand that this process is like asynchronous for the build, regarding the build. It means that the build has some knowledge when the tile is completed, but it's not exactly waiting for him. Another build can start while the tile release wasn't completed yet. We'll see it later in the status. It might be that it's not exactly in sync, and we thought about how to reflect that in the tile build status, but it's not like exactly how the system works and how the tile build status show that. We a bit simplify that, and I can talk about it later. The tile build status is a feature that we work on as part of their rewrite. And we wanted to, the old status page was also had like a very old infrastructure, and we wanted to have a better visibility, not only for when the last tile were released, but also what is the status right now, if a build started or not, to keep you, to have more light, so you won't be in the dark what's going on, what's expected to get into the next build, for example. So we have the small the status bar, and then when you click it, I guess most of you know it, but when you click it, you can see the pop-up, what we call the pop-up window for the tile build status. The window has 3 parts. In the above, the top one is for the next build. Then in the middle, we have a section for the current build, for what's not running now. And then in the bottom, we have the previous build, which is like the status page we had before, only the bottom part. And we also have an RSS feed, which is like for history and auditing. You can see here 2 examples. On the left is when there's no build running, on the right when there is a building in progress. And here's an example for when you have delays. So right now we have delays also in NA today, hot from the oven. So, but this is another example when we had delays in row. And you can see here also, if we're doing a rollback for the map, it's also reflected here. What is a rollback? A rollback is once we decided to release the tiles, and then for some reason, for some problem, we decided to release an older version of the map, take an older version of the tiles, and put them on the server for the drivers. Then we indicate that there was a rollback. So you'll know that there was a newer version, and then it was rolled back. Sometimes you'll see changes, and then they will be like gone. So it's important to know that. Okay, the next issue, the next thing I want to talk about is the SLO itself, what the quality that we want to give the editors, and how it works. The target that was defined, it was even before we started the project, is that Waze wants edits to reach drivers in less than 48 hours after the edit. And that's how it was calculated. We want that each edit that is done will get to the drivers at least up until 48 hours later. And for that, we decided to do a build every 24 hours. As I mentioned before, also the time it takes to build can take up to like 12 hours. So it has other constraints, but this was like the decision. And the constraints, as like I mentioned before, are the release window, the time that we can release, and if there is a conflict with the geocoding or routing server, what it means. From my perspective, we want to increase the time, the number of the builds, like we did in IL. I wish we could do it also for NA, which is simpler, but also for a row. So one constraint, like I mentioned, if there is like rush hours or something like this, we decided even in IL that we will not release during rush hours. This can be also calculated for NA in a similar way. But the second thing is that other teams, that when we are doing the release, we are deploying a new geocoding and routing servers. It means that during this time, the geocoding, mostly the routing team, the navigation team, can deploy changes to the code itself, because we either deploy changes to data, which is the tiles, or deploy changes to the code. And this has to be decided. So there's a little bit of a conflict. We want to decide what to do, what we are taking. So it means that if we want to do 2 tile builds a day, the nav team will suffer from that, because it will hurt their deployment. Another important aspect is when that is important to understand is that if we miss the deadline, the release window, what's happened? So in the like you can see in the upper picture, usually we'll do a release build start in 12. This is like New York time in NA, and then the release will happen in the night in like 11. But you can see in the image below, when there is like a delay in the build, in the second build, then the release will happen only the day after. And if you'll see what happened for release, like release number 3, you will see that it takes changes from either like 1 p.m. of the second day. So even if we had a delay of 1 build, immediately we'll get into above the 48 hours SLO that we want to get. That's like some of our problems, our constraints. But what's important here, and why I wanted to speak about it with you, is that it's important to get your feedback. If the 48 hours to edit to each driver is good, we can have like we can have less, we want more. It's very important to hear your opinion about it. And this is a feature that we work on right now. So you're also welcome to give us some feedback. When we have delays like we have now, also like we had last year, sometimes it can be delays of days, sometimes even more. But it was very difficult to reflect it in the tile build status itself. So our plan is to have to do something like this, we want to have some kind of ribbon on the upper part that will take you to a forum post that explains more details about the delay. And also the next build is like, right now is automatically calculated. We want to have a way to bypass that and tell you, okay, we don't know when the next bit will start, or maybe have something which is not only tomorrow. And also we want to reflect that we don't know, the current build is running, but we don't know when it's going to end. As you probably know, in some situations, this information that was like automatically inferred wasn't the best, and we try to improve that. Okay, so that's all, and thank you very much for your time.
And thank you, Ohad, for joining us today and teaching us a little bit more about the tile build. Now, we're very excited to take your questions. Let me just change some things around real quick on my screen to make this more comfortable for us. So, Danit, do you want to throw up some of our questions on the board? I just wanted to start here. First, I need to make a correction, which I know many of you out there in YouTube land think that I'm perfect and infallible, but it's not true. I make mistakes just like everyone else. So let me correct a mistake I made earlier this evening. The virtual beta mega meetup I said was on the 28th. It's actually going to be Sunday, July 24th. So again, you're going to get the registration out hopefully later this week or very early next, but July 24th for the virtual beta meetup. Again, we've proven I'm not perfect. I'm just like everyone else. We all make mistakes. Now, on to our first question. You ready? All right.
Okay.
They smell blood in the water, so don't show any fear. So, not a question, but a comment from an anonymous user. The recent delay in NA is not perfect, but the fact that a delay of only a couple of days causes us discomfort is a huge improvement over the past, when this could simply be accepted as a status quo. So, a nice compliment. Do you have any remarks on that?
So first of all, yeah, thank you, and yeah, I think it's important for me that the management will understand it, because I try to push a lot that they will see that the editors want their edits more frequently, but it's important for you to tell them also it's not enough that I'll do that.
Great. So on to our next one from Alan. Can you be a bit more transparent on the tile delays? It affects how we do some edits. If a known delay, then make an early change in preparation. Or if a delay is known, then make an early change in preparation, even if it shows in the map, or maybe don't make a short duration change. So what can we do about being more transparent on these sorts of issues?
I think I'm not sure from what part that question came.
I think it came from what's going on currently in NA with these sorts of delays.
But I'm not sure if it's like in the beginning, from the beginning of the slides or the end, because I'll repeat what I show on the last slides. We plan to do it a little bit more transparent by having like a ribbon with some explanation if we know what's going on and we have some kind of ETA, and we can share like a forum post or something else, some other information that we can share about it. That's our plan. Most of the times when it fails, we don't prepare that in advance. Sometimes we have like a maintenance, but most of the time it's not something planned. If we know, we'll put a ribbon and on the tile build status, and we'll notify about that in advance and also in the forum.
Awesome.
So we try to do our best to be transparent.
Great. Well, here is a feature suggestion from Nate. If there is a tile delay or the map is rolled back, to show a notification in the WME, which is what we just discussed. So let's move on from that one. It's coming, Nate. It's in the works. So from Victor, The tile build cycles might have a huge impact on major map changes. Sometimes we have to combine with closures to avoid invalid routing through changing zones, but closures and modified segments aren't friends. Will this be solved in the new process?
The process we are working right now is mostly rewrite of the orchestration itself. It's not about the data, and changing this requirement requires changing the data itself for how the data is stored on the geocoding. So it's not part of it, but I think the teams are mostly aware of the issue, but it's important like to escalate it and tell the team that it's very important for you, and it will be prioritized accordingly.
Great, thank you. So moving right along, another from Alan, is the map problem generation part of the tile build, even if it's only run once a month or so?
And no, that process is not related to the tile build itself.
Got it. And from Emil, how does the tile building work in conjunction with satellite imagery?
The tile build is not related exactly to the satellite image. It's mostly that, for example, on the live map or on the editor, you have a layer of from Google Maps of the satellite image, and on top of that, we draw the roads themselves. We have like an opaque layer with the roads on the image itself. Okay, so it's just two layers. The tile build itself doesn't use the satellite or doing anything related to it.
And on that satellite image issue, if you guys are more interested in that, make sure you tune in next month for our August office hours. A little spoiler, we're doing a deep dive into a lot of the core functions of the WME, and that will be part of our discussion as well. So moving right along, another question from Alan. Why does the next tile build have incorrect time? NA shows it starts about midnight Eastern time, which is vice noon. I don't understand what the last part of that means there, but if there's incorrect time showing, could that be from the delay that's currently happening?
I'm not exactly sure, so maybe we'll need a follow-up on that later. But there can be a few things. First one is like time zone issues. Maybe you are working on the browser. It uses the time zone on the browser, and maybe the time zone over there is not correct. There's also like daylight saving issue. Sometimes we don't adjust correctly to daylight saving, but it's important like to bring it up and open a bug. We also, right now it works like with a cron job, so it's very, very not accurate, but in the future when we move to Airflow, we'll have like a status, we'll take the status from there and it should be improved. But anyway, if you see a problem, please report it and we'll fix.
And Alan, feel free to send me some examples of that in particular too. We only have a few minutes left, so let's pull up. We have one question. This is our last question. Whoa, all right. So from Falcon Tech, is it possible to have changes in the application after 24 hours from editing?
Technically, that's possible. Yeah, and in Israel, we are doing it. We are doing 2 builds a day, so it's happening. But as I mentioned before, I think in an A it's easier, but in the rest of the world it's more complicated and we have more constraints. But it's important to bring that topic to prioritize that, and we can improve there for sure.
Awesome. Well, Ohad, it was so great to have you on. I hope everyone at home really enjoyed your talk as well. I thought it was really interesting and I learned a lot about the tile build. If you guys have any more questions for Ohad or questions on the tile build, feel free to send them in and we'll get your questions answered and we'll follow up. Make sure you join us next month. We're going to have, like I said, a really awesome deep dive into several different aspects of the WME. So stay tuned. And I'd also, of course, one last time like to thank Anat and John and Juan and Francesco and everyone who participated in the hackathon for joining us and presenting today. You guys were awesome and you really inspire us as Waze staff to really continue to do what we do. And we love seeing all of your amazing ideas. Keep them coming. This was fun. I can't wait
Thank
to have
you.
you on again.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys all next month. Bye from Waze.